Hi, this is Tony with All Things Music. So this video we're going to go talk a little bit about what's being used on the effects buses. So here for vocals I might use Spring. Make that active. It's by Eventide. It's probably my favorite Spring algorithm that I've heard. It mimics a Spring reverb. That should be all the way up. 100%. There we go. So it's my favorite Spring reverb algorithm that I've heard, so that's why I use it. I don't use this a lot. I do use it on certain applications. More often than not, it's if I have a track where there's yelling or screaming, so to speak. So typically more hard rock or other types of genres under hard rock. So it's in mono. Don't ask you why. I just, for some reason, I feel like it works. I want to say it works better in mono, but you know, I feel like there's a track I'm working on now that might have it in stereo. But let's look at our other plugins here. Oh, we got the rainbow ball. There we go. CLA effects, I probably haven't used that in a while. It's probably just there just to be there. Abbey Road Chambers, I know some producers, some tracking engineers or some mixing engineers that really like this. There's a mix engineer I really respect by the name of Isaac, and he loves this. He does a lot more hip hop than anything else, but he really loves Abbey Road Chambers on for hip hop vocals. So I don't know. I feel like I haven't given enough of a fair shake. It's just there. I don't use it a lot. My go-tos, I'll tell you what my go-tos are. It's going to be Abbey Road plates for vocals, at least for a short. And then the other one I really like using is Valhalla Vintage Verb. Third place, and it's getting used less and less these days, is the Verb Suite Classics by, again, this is, Slate has an agreement with Liquid Sonics where they distribute this through Slate as part of their All Access Pass. So I do use it quite a bit, but in the last, I want to say, year or two, it's getting used less and less. It's getting replaced more and more by Valhalla Vintage Verb and Abbey Road plates. But if anything, what I tend to like the most on this is going to be their hall settings. So I will typically use the hall settings. I tend to like it, but I've fallen in love more and more with these two plugins in the last few years, especially the Valhalla Vintage Verb, which I got maybe about a year ago, which makes me wonder why it took me so long to get it. But H Reverb, I've used it on limited applications in the second vocal reverb aux bus here. I'll have the long version of it, just gives you longer decay time. So here's the thing, I might, if I were to pick Valhalla Vintage Verb on this one, the only difference between what's here and then on the second reverb effects bus might be a longer decay time. So whereas this might be at, say, I don't know, almost 2 seconds, the one on the second reverb bus might be longer, 3.61. So CLA effects definitely is kind of cool to fool around with. There's times where I've used it and I feel like I'm cheating because it's just so easy to dial things in with. But again, I haven't really used it much in the last, I think it's been over a year since I've used it. So I'm going to mute all of these. For delay, again, CLA effects, again, haven't used it in a while. H delay. Repeater. My two go-tos. And with an honorary mention. Echo Boy by Soundtoys, great plugin. And then Repeater by, I think it's by D16 Group. Yes, D16 Group audio software. those are my two go-tos. Fantastic. Both of them are excellent. And then tip of the hat to, to Wave Super Tap 2. That does get some use here and there. Now, for the second delay bus, FX bus, I might use Super Tap 6 taps, because this only allows you to have 2 taps. Why that is, I don't know, but so typically the 2 taps will have like a slap delay or a very short delay, like a slap back effect. Again, good for vocals. And the other one is going to be longer. Obviously, it's going to have 6 taps. Or maybe not that much longer, but it'll have 6 taps. So those are what I would use in that respect. Again, I wish there was a way, Avid, if you're listening, I wish there was a way to just click a button and then make them all inactive, but well. This is a plugin I wanted to like. I've kind of fooled around with it, but I haven't quite been able to get it to do what I want it to do in as quick as an amount of time as I want it to get it done by. So it came out as a free plugin. I know some people love it. I just end up using Echo Boy Repeater more often than not. And as we can see here for routing, our boxes or delays are going to feed our reverb bus and also our, so both delay buses, both delay effects buses for the vocals are going to feed the reverbs. And that's going to be a theme throughout these. So for the guitars, I've got a bunch of stuff on there, most of which I never use. The Spring Reverb might be used. Valhalla Vintage Reverb is going to be used the most. H Reverb has had its uses at times, but all these other plugins, really the reality of it is I'm going to be using probably, 3/4 of the time I'm going to be using Valhalla Vintage Verb. VSC has been used before. I'm going to show you something here as well. Some of these other reverbs. H Reverb we talked about, Abbey Road. So simple, just to kind of clean up the lows and the highs so it's not too unruly, gives a little bit more focus to it. The vocals are the same way. They've got some kind of filtering preset already put on there to filter out some of the lows and the highs. In fact, for the vocals, I'm actually going to show you. I have another setup here. Abbey Road Reverb EQ template with mid-range notch. So that's what I typically will have for the vocals. For guitar, there's not really that notch there. Studio Room by Eventide. It's kind of fun to play with. The mix should be 100% wet. You can make it sound like it's in, the position is more in the front or the rear. It's kind of interesting how it does that. So if you're listening to it on headphones, it might actually, you can actually feel like it's more in front of you or behind you versus in your head or on the sides directly. So it's like kind of a cool thing to play with. Some engineers swear by this. They will find a way to kind of put it on every mix that they use. I don't use it on every mix. Here's another one. So the SP 2016 Reverb by Eventide, great algorithm. Don't use it a lot, unfortunately. It's really good, I just don't use it a lot. Studio Reverb, weirdly enough, that has gotten, I feel like I've used this quite a bit in the last few years. So Valhalla Vintage Verb, though, slowly becoming the winner. Again, I'm using it probably on 3/4 of of all my mixes for guitar now. TrueVerb by Waves. I used to use it a long time ago. I haven't used it in years for guitar. It's a good plugin. It just doesn't seem to work for a lot of the applications that I have. So one thing I want to point out here is in reverb, the second reverb bus for the guitar. This definitely gets used. Not on every mix, but on a number of mixes. There's a quality to convolution reverb that I like. So if I want something to sound like, if I want, like I'm thinking this one track in particular, or maybe a few of them actually, where there's a guitar solo, and just based on the way I want it to sound, I want it to be like, okay, I want the listener to feel like they're in the room with the lead guitarist. I will probably end up using something like this, but it has a quality to it that I like, so it actually does get some fair amount of use. Ultra Reverb by Eventide. I used to use this quite a bit, not as much anymore. Space, let's see what Space is going. What Space is doing. Yeah, Space, I may have used it on 1 or 2 mixes in my entire life. So I'll bypass all of these. And you know what? I probably gonna get rid of True Reverb on this in this case. Guitar. So I have a reverb bus for the guitar. We're using the Eventide Black Hole plugin. This plugin is awesome. It is used on more than half the mixes I work with. It has this otherworldly, ethereal type of quality to it that I really love. So it's used a lot on the different mixes that I work on, particularly on guitar. I might use it on things like keyboard or synths. Again, it's kind of this ethereal, otherworldly effect. So it's definitely, yeah, more than half of my mixes, it's on there. Nothing too exciting here. The Tape Echo, I've used it before. I actually still use this plugin from time to time. So I'm probably going to be using or switching this out and using another tape-based delay plugin. I'm really actually looking forward to checking out. There's one I've been looking at for some time, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I actually do use this plugin from time to time. So everything else we've seen already. I don't know if we've seen H delay. I've used it, but it doesn't really it doesn't get a lot of traction on my mixes. It's not common that I use it. Repeater is probably going to be my go-to in, I would say, probably 9 out of 10 times for echo on the guitar. Soundtoys should be on here too. I don't know why I didn't put it on there, but Repeater gets a lot of play from me, or gets a lot of use on my end. So I'm going to put Echo Boy on there. I'm going to bypass this, make this inactive. Keyboards, we talked about all of these already. I might use a convolution reverb. Keys means anything that has a keyboard on it, like piano, organ, synthesizer, electric piano, etc. So we've seen all of these plugins before already. For strings should actually be here. Keep everything in nice order. Which means I have to change the color scheme again, but that's okay. We've seen everything here already as well for reverb and delay, for the keyboard reverb bus or buses and the keyboard delay buses. Same thing with the strings. There's nothing new here. You'll see more instances of convolution reverb, but Valhalla Vintage Verb, convolution reverb, etc. For the drums, nothing exciting. Abbey Road chambers, Abbey Road plates, Echo Boy or Super Tap. Repeater should probably be on there, but I'm able to get a lot done with, I'm able to dial in things quickly with those two. So anyhow, that's what's going on there with our effects buses. The next video, we're going to talk about a little bit more of the groups here and a little bit of the routing. So I'll see you in the next video.